And suddenly Jesus said, "Kill the man." "You're saying you didn't kill a man." "It's a little bit raised. You have to think about it." You look at the top of her head. "You asked my head too," he said. "I'm wondering if you hit the back of the head can cause him to lose his memory or not." Jesus was surprised when he heard that question. She shook her head and told me to forget everything. He pressed his face against the same menacing gaze. "Really? You just look away and say, well, we'll clean it up. Your mouth says that, but in your head you think. You have a good survival instinct. I've forgotten everything. You taught me that magic." Aesthetic ass looks are starting again. She saw it. That I beat the white sky excitedly. It's fun. It is hard to deny now. He sighed a dull sigh. He looked at Jesus and asked, "Why do you want to learn that sword?" I was surprised to hear that. She hesitated and replied, "I can't tell you why. I have to learn that sword." He was quite surprised at her determination and thought, "She doesn't seem to want to learn. Because tomorrow is beautiful. You asked me again if you want to learn." He paused for a quiet beat, looking at her. "You don't actually have to ask me. Because that sword was originally painted by the flower. If you wait longer, you will learn." She replied, "There is no magic sword anymore." You're surprised to hear the aesthetic. She knows that too. It seems like she found out about the future. The sword is. You also answered yes. There is no such thing in Hoa Sun now. But after the preparation is done, it will reappear. I didn't understand what you said just now, so I asked you to prepare. You suddenly sit up. She's also looking at Theo to see what you're doing. You move the air with 2 fingers. It's gliding every way in the air. Every step you take is very easy. Jesus also focused on watching his every move. She was surprised to see and speak subconsciously. Vietnamese female sword. This is the kind of sword I used. Spend the most time learning and training. That image of you practicing that swordsmanship came to mind. But there's something very different. It's not just different in simple motions. That it seems like even the basics are different. She looked at it carefully and asked, "Finding women, right?" "You're right. You also stopped using the sword." He looked at her and asked if he understood. She shook her head and said, "No, I don't understand. But I know what you mean. It's our job to understand that. And if we don't follow the path laid out from the beginning, I will not learn the sword I want. Now we have to give what we have. We need to rebuild the foundation, right?" You smile aesthetically. I thought she was stupid. Turns out he's got a mind. You said you thought it was good, and she said, "I know." You also make conditions. In exchange, if you dare to reveal today's story for any AI, I will definitely not teach you. She said I didn't say. You said good. She looked at you with a bad expression and said, I am the master, you are the master, he murmured. I know, it's hard to say forever. After that, you start to leave. She rubbed her head and said she understood. She seemed annoyed to pick up her sword. You come back and talk. He threw that idiot in my room. If you leave him there, he'll catch a cold and die. You left, but you're still sitting there. Think about the sword. Tomorrow, you ray focused on thinking about it. Close your eyes tight. The shadow of the father appeared. You call your father subconsciously. She remembered the words father had said to her. I will definitely restore the sword. One day, we will return to the flower of redemption. Save Jesus, come with me. He is showing his arm out. Appears in your mind. Because Hoa Sun is the best place in the world. You are still thinking. And then she stood up. The fire of determination in you is burning. You said you had to learn. At all costs, her eyes showed determination. The quiet scenery in Hoa Sun. Yogan and Chung Cotton are waiting for Trung Butt to return. As soon as he opened the door, the two men said, When you get back, what are you asking Ra? You haven't gone to bed yet. The training seems too comfortable. The yogi was in a hurry. Not in the ass. Why do people cut the sea so much? What to ask? Du Gold said the white angel is missing. The nuns just came to Bak Mai Kwong to look for it. What did you ask back? Your face is thinking. Bak Mai Kwon is missing. Maybe they suspect. That guy in Bak Mai Kwon kidnapped him. Or what? That's smart. Why didn't I think of that? It's easy to tell this. You speak up. But you're naturally suspicious of people. I don't know how annoying. Chan laughed and said, So this has nothing to do with you, right? Lucky. You said related. Two Kier face angry aesthetic. What are you upset about this guy? Then the bell asked. So I was with the white angel. You softly replied, hum. Chun Cotton looked a little panicked. Maybe what we're thinking about is wrong. You still innocently ask back, what are you thinking about? Smiling and then asking, how could that be? I am also a thinking person. I'm sure there's no such thing. But maybe I should have hit him. If not, then... Did you punch him in the face like last time? I said no. Chun Cotton put his hand on his shoulder. You're still there. Ra says the two are different. Yogan Clam said, assault in the face is extremely wrong. You're holding hands. This is not a child. The two of them were delighted. He breathed a sigh of relief and said he had to fuck his ass. Brother Tin. Brother, even if it's a nervous kid, it's not normal. But not to the point of beating my own brain. You said it wasn't a fight. That you pushed. It's like beating a crazy dog. Chun Cotton also said yes. The white angel sometimes looks like a dog. Talking in the middle. Then he stopped and remembered what the middle butt had said. You're helpless. You don't know what to say. After learning that the middle butt has hit the white sky, Chinese Cotton goes crazy screaming this crazy kier. You have to know how to do crazy things. Why did you defeat the master? Do you know when you destroy the nest? How big a crime is that? He grabbed Chu's ass and said, My ass kicked my brother away and cursed. You said you think you're an idiot. You have solved everything without worrying. I thought I didn't know why. Cotton jars lying on the straw floor with tears in their eyes. That's why you did it, asshole. He was crying and complaining. If God is insane, you have to know the limit. Why did you fight back? Human Vespa must also follow certain rules. The Yogin came to console the brother. It's never worked on principle. Chun asked why. What did the teacher say? But he can still say it right. Middle ass answer. He told me to help him get stronger. My brother stopped crying and suddenly asked me something. You can hear that. I looked at Yo Gold. Yo One thought for a moment and said, but if you think about it, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we said. Chun, you still can't believe it. But that man is the master, and we are brothers. They both looked at each other in silence. Then why did you say yes? He turned to ask the buttocks. The master calmly replied, I just hit. Yogin and Chun Cotton suddenly asked big at Sao. Chun Cotton explained, I felt comfortable and fought. It's time for solace. Don't worry about anything. No more. Go to bed, and when you wake up, you will know. Go to bed, and he goes to his room. Cotton Chun is still shuffling on the floor asking, You really hit? He must be joking. He turned to Yogel. He replied, I've learned something about the Middle East, brother. It can talk nonsense, but absolutely not lying. The brother's face grew pale. He was suffering. It's good to know. This monster is playing everything now. Where will the mountain go? Time passed until the morning. Today, third-generation students do not practice as usual. Outside Yogin and Chun Cotton are waiting. Let's see if the masters have empires. It's been a while, but no shadow has come. Chun Cotton is worried that Sao is not there yet. They're supposed to sneak up on us and bully us. That? He thought of Chu's words late at night. I wonder if it's true. I don't know if it really worked out. But maybe it's already solved. I love it too. This is the first time I know that. The thought that solves the problem that happens with the urge. By defeating him. It really exists. In this silent scene, Jungo suddenly asked, It's so quiet today. That means that the middle butt has defeated the white angel. Why? The brother replied that he had nothing to lie about. If that's not true, it's not like they've changed like this. I asked you that, brother. That means that the middle butt is stronger than the white angel. He replied, Why do you keep asking this question so clearly? So if compared to the male tone, Sao Yugen wondered. If it is the middle butt, even compared to the south, they will not be weak. More than that, it beats the angel. So much so that he couldn't win it. So if Chung Myung joins the Hoa cardboard chapter this time? The Chinese asked with a sigh. The opposite. What's different about winning the South China Sea? I asked him if there would be anything else. Brother explained. Of course, the school has Gao. It's something worth celebrating. But if there's only one master, there's nothing we can do. It can improve the reputation of the school, but if it disappears, the mountain will be destroyed as before. If you really want to rebuild the paint, then we shouldn't be counting on our ass. We ourselves have to be strong. 2. When no one dares to despise Hoa-san's disciples anymore, then we can talk. We've really come back to life. When I heard those words, I thought in silence. And he said yes. Chun continued, but as you say, I'm also curious about the church. We have to get there. I don't understand why. You answered. Your ass will really be a hero. Change the paint. Otherwise, he will also become the leader of the Hoa. This little paint. Suddenly, my brother's voice went away. Master, I have nothing to teach you. My ass is running and talking. Save Jesus chasing behind screaming moon woman's sword. He said again. I told you to go find Umgum. I told him to teach Cho. The girl said. The female moon's sword is a woman's sword. Umgum master is not good at moon lady sword. So I'm a Sao woman. I'm a woman, said the middle ass. The master still sends out orders to teach me. The middle buttocks talk loudly and also encountered this scene. Yo One looked at the two people chasing her and wondered. Your teacher says so much. Silence for a moment, the brother said. Let's practice in the morning. Yes, replied Du. Above the hill, white sky with north to stand and look down. My ass is trying to run and pray. Fuck off. Behind you, the master is still chasing you. Bak Sang asked our brother to really ignore it. It doesn't look like he's repenting at all. Not. This is when we should punish it, or Sao. The Lord said small punishment. As a teacher, I don't know how to turn to you. He said no, nothing. Big brother, hugging his stomach, thought, I can't say that. I went and was beaten. The more I think about it, the more I see this kid doesn't know. Why can it hit people without leaving any external wounds? That's evil. North asked again. Why do you suddenly say, you can't touch a third-generation disciple? I don't know what you mean. He said in my heart, it's hard to believe. Now I hate fighting so much. He said, the party is about to take place. Now we realize that. I didn't think it through. The third-generation disciple can't be punished at any time. But the festival is an important event. Only once every 2 years. Important internal affairs, something to do with the reputation of paint. It's even more important. In terms of symbolism, we'd better put it all on hold. And bet it all on the family. He listened to every word and bowed his head. He went on. Our enemy is the South, not the third generation. Why do we have to retreat from cultivation? Have you forgotten? You are right, I am too angry. Uncle Sang replied, the Lord thinks I am the one who is angry. But luckily, he believes his excuses. If he asks you who started this, But now I'm pretending to be nice. I also have a stiff throat. Then he said, "Thank you for understanding me. Let us talk about the third generation of students, then devoted to revenge in the upcoming Hoa religious chapter. Let's test your martial arts for the last time, and make them go back to school." Bak Jiang bowed his head and said, "Yes, brother." Then he ran away. White Sky is still standing there sighing. Thinking in my heart. Flower Communication Association is. I don't remember things either. The third generation disciples ceremony is over. To see this incredible scene. And it's not just us who are surprised. Maybe South Korea is more amazing than Hoa-san. I have to do what I need to do. Because of that middle us, something's wrong. But from 2 years ago, my goal is to prove myself at Hoa. I respect the association. He gritted his teeth in hatred, thinking further. Think about the people who will be participating in the show. Let's see what we do. I have time to do this shit. This time he squeezed his palms. Turn around and start walking. I will definitely prove my worth, he told himself. In the head teacher's office. Come in and sit down and say, "Sun Nam's disciples will come here today." The chief asked if everything was ready. I have answered, chief. This time, the reception was male. There will be no problem. I put the bottle down and said that. He picked up his cup of tea and thought. This time will be different from the past. It's just meager meals and a dilapidated martial arts training ground. At least we won't lose face. Thought then, he said. The more I think about it, the more I see that middle-ass kid. It's done us a big favor. It's not just eating. He also helped Hoa-san regain face. Just listening and drinking tea. I asked you how the tea tastes. Gum Flakes happily commented on the smell. It seems more concentrated. It's been drying for a long time, but now I have to go a little. You in the next word. Dried plum blossom wings have a more concentrated smell. The flower's wings have been drying for 15 years, and now we realize. The paint is still the same. Students don't understand why. The old man said, I just suffered. I say I will restore the glory of old. But actually, every day we have to endure. It's really hard. But endure forever. This day finally comes. Sometimes to get the answer, we just have to wait. No need for books or tricks. Thought in his heart. People become better. Then Ra isn't just us. Sometimes I feel like the boss is wrong. That it has been completed. But people continue to get better. Until they die. Chief student who walked the path of the executioner will not stop forging themselves until the day he took his last breath. Why is it not reliable? I thought, and the warden said. Painting under the life of the chief practitioner, it will restore glory in the process. He replied with a smile, that's good. But if that's true, it's not my fault either. It's because of the efforts of the students. Love to ask. Why can't there be the master's merit? He drank a cup of tea and calmly explained. We realize that we have many shortcomings. If the paint doesn't do this, how can we become a leader? My brothers, without leaving the painting. I'm sure we've just memorized something. Living through years and months. The warden said again. They left the mountain. It has been proven that they are not qualified to be head teachers. You are on the main road, is the real master of this flower. To hear those words with a satisfied smile. A moment later, he asked again. Then the second generation disciples are SAO. Answer. Now I'm done practicing. I'm keeping my mind pure. Think about something for a while. The warden worried about the chief. The truth is, I'm a little afraid of the boss asking. You think the second generation is not strong enough to deal with it? Disciples of the South SAO tribe. Sadly said. I want to believe them, as you know. The captain had another cup of tea. Then asked the third generation disciple why. The third generation disciples did not join the SAO order. Are they well prepared? The teacher replied. You guys are all ready. They're too excited to be there. Suddenly said in my heart. The warden said anxiously. But they haven't been around very long. The chief asked again. There is a mountain in front of you. Then he asked the mountain. That question came up too quickly. It makes you confused. He poured tea and said he had to get through it. If there is a way, come back. Take a break if you have time. But without both, we have to cross that mountain, right? The manager thought. Then ask why I'm afraid I can't get through. The master calmly replied. Even if you can't get through it, you have experience, right? Then the next time, they'll be able to cross mountains more easily, right? The church is a place to socialize. Winning is not important. Think of it as a place to socialize, and that AI can evolve more. That's what's important. I learned a lesson from your words in. The teacher happily replied that the chief said yes. The chief told the guests to go the long way. So try to be prepared to welcome them. Obey the warden's orders. Ungum said again. Big brother of an lower trade union will continue to help us, so there will be no problem. But that, I'm afraid the South will not be easy to ignore for us. The teacher used it and said, He reminded me not to worry too much. It's going to happen in sequence. He bowed his head and said, yes, at the end. I will go to check one last time. He said, get out. The room returned to its original tranquility. Master put the cup of tea down. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. If you become a murderer, Ra will lie without blinking an eye. Like this. If anything is different than the day before, then it's the 7 swords that the middle but found. It's like taking Hoa Sun back to the golden age. With only 7 apricot 6, it's almost impossible. His hands touched the split tightly. I just need a sword tomorrow. He sighed again, O ancestors. Please bless the paint. Under the mountain, in the dark. A group of South Koreans have just arrived here. A guy with a sunshade. Look up at the mountain ahead. Call Big Brother. The United States used to be the 9 largest states. The person who is asking has a Korean name, 2nd generation disciple of the Southern tribe. He asked the faction that had been among the top 9 in the state. All around the village. I just spent it like this. Since the next step closer to landing, it must be the opposite. Thanks to the paint, this place has a village like this. They came to Hoa Sun and grow this place into what it is now. Enough to see. In the past, the position of the paint used to be strong raw Sao, with a cute appearance. The older brother of Han is Kim Long. He was also the second disciple of the Southern sect. I heard that in Korea, of course. But now it's too shabby. I really don't understand. Why do they organize meaningless events? Hey! Fighting swords with such feeble painters. What's the point? I'd rather use that time to swing my sword. Kim Long explained. The elders want to do, so we have to participate. Why do you talk carefully? You seem to think that as true, but... When he saw something, he looked at Theo. Brother said again. Hoa Tribal Association still has its own meaning. This is a very good opportunity. Let us take revenge for the disgraced disciples. The Korean does not pay attention to the words of the brother, but looks at the reason. There's no reaction. Since I made that big deal, he's calmer. It's not interesting. Then he turned his back and went on. It's been 100 years since I was painted. We must take revenge on our brother. Kim Long replied, boom. We'll do that. We'll talk. We'll both move on. The blackout suddenly stopped. I looked up at the mountain in front of me. It's Sao paint. Back when I came here, this place is still a small village. Every time I look at paint, I thought of someone. You are sweating in your heart. I don't know. You and I are walking into a tiger hole. The scenery in Hoa San looks so small and shabby. Stations were built at the foot of Mount Hua Sect. It is the resting place of the feet.